understand what it takes to win, but also to play every day. It's not easy at all, especially as you start to climb the ladder when you get to high school, when you get to high school varsity, and then whenever you get into college, it just becomes more and more harder, right? It's like, I mean, it's very rare, honestly, for a guy to be in a lineup in college, and start 60-plus games every single year.
Yeah.
Because, again, it has nothing to do with emotion. The guy may be 0 for 12 on a weekend, so it's like, hey, he's not hot right now. Let's get someone else in here that's hungry to kind of get a fire under this dude's ass again, to kind of get him moving back in the right direction, right? So, that's what I want people to understand is, it's not emotional. I'm not playing you. Garrett's not playing you because I don't like you. I want every guy to play, right? But if we're playing everyone, we're not sending that message.
Yeah.
I heard a story a few weeks back about a kid that he kind of turned his college career around. Right, he was coming out of high school as a top prospect, top 100, top 150 kid, whatever. Went to a D1 school, and he was so used to playing every game, all the time, everywhere, big moments, batting, 1, batting 4, whatever the case may be. And he said, in that looking back, his biggest issue was when he got to college. He says, not only did I not play, I barely practiced. I was shagging balls. I was, he went to Vanderbilt or so somewhere where there was just a stacked squad.
Yeah.
And he was he ended up transferring and leaving, and he was pissed off at the coaches. But then he looks back and he looks at all the kids that have come through that program. Not a lot. I mean, very few of them were in there day one. And so I think these kids need to realize that at every level you move up, now you're the best kids on the level that you were on before is now you're competing against, right? So it's just going to get harder and harder, and getting better is going to become incrementally smaller because it's going to be that much harder to be better. And the more they're prepared to have accountability and to believe in the team, I think the better prepared they'll be to sit if and when that time comes.
This is why one of the things, a lot of coaches will ask, is he a good team guy? Is he a team guy or is he a me guy, right? You hear that all the time. It's a huge deal. It really is, Select baseball, select sports in general, if we just kind of open up and from a broad standpoint, select sports in general has given people a thought of my kid should be playing. And they forget that you're paying to play on that team, right, most of the time. Or, hey, my kid played every day, but you played with the worst of the worst, or you played with guys that weren't really that good, right? So if you're playing on that team, but then you go to a high school that is of the best, a lot of dudes in our area, Smith Valley, Bernie Champion, Bernie High School, Churchill, Johnson, Reagan. Those are some of the best teams in the state of Texas. You're in a populated area with highly competitive baseball players. So yeah, you might have played on the Tribe. You might have played on the Sliders. You might have played on the Angels. You might have played on XYZ team, right? But now when you put all the best of the best together, and you're not just the best center fielder there, but now you got 3 of the best center fielders in this area, well, coach is going to pick the best of the 3, whether that's you or it's not. But then guess what? You might be the best of the 3 in high school. And then you go to college. And now you're not just playing against the best in the San Antonio area or in what's district for your high school. Now you're playing against the best in the state or the country. So now they recruited 3 center fielders that are the best in the state or the country. Well, coach isn't going to just pick you to play. He's going to pick the best of the 3. Whoever's going to make sure he doesn't lose his fucking job at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we have to really understand as parents, is hey, this is it's a business, but it's a job, and we're trying to win. So you have to be the best guy. You have to have more tangible pieces than another guy. And I want to give these few points just so that we can kind of talk about these individually as we go. Number 1, numbers, right? If a guy's 8 for 12 and you're 0 for 12 or you're 5 for 12, he's probably going to play the guy that's 8 for 12, right? So numbers, right? What's my batting average? What's my OBP? How many walks do I have versus strikeouts? What's my runs scored? What's my RBIs, right? If there's a guy that has more of that than you, easy way to look at it objectively and say he's playing better baseball right now, okay? That's the first piece in the objective side, okay? Then you have defensive. Let's say you're both 8 for 12, right? Okay, he has 0 errors, you have 10 errors. Okay, I'm playing this guy. You have the same batting average, but he has 0 errors and you have 10 errors, right? So objective baseball, looking at that, we'll dive into that first. The next is, are you reliable? Are you a guy that we know that we're going to get something out of you every single day? The next, are you coachable? Are you coachable? Are you taking the coaching that's given to you? Are you willing to learn and open to learning with new ideas? The next is strategy. The coach's individual strategy. Are you a guy that can understand and spit back to him? It kind of goes into reliability, but it's different. Can you spit back to the coach and he know that you know every part of their strategy and the way that they want to play the baseball game? And then the last is, are you a liability in the field in any way? If you get put in the game, are you going to be a guy that loses the game for them right then and there, right? So to me, those are the pieces that, like, when we look at it, is the kid going to play or not going to play, right? Based off of those pieces. We can kind of dive through those. I can help guide that as we go. But like I said, the first is objective. Like, to you, when you're objectively looking at a player, what are you looking at?
I think the biggest thing is the consistency of it, right? And not even, I think whatever a guy's capability is, right, which that's not always easy to look at. But, like, there's some guys, I mean, you can even tell when they're young, like on our teams, versus, like, guys that I played with in college they're consistently good, right? And we've already established this isn't a fair game, right? So if, like, I got a guy on my team, like, say college baseball, for example, and he's a senior and he's a career 330 hitter. Well, if he has an 0 for 12 stretch, well, yeah, the guy's going to keep playing because he has a proven track record of being good, right? And the other thing is like, if I got a guy that's hot right now, well, yeah, I'm going to play because I'm going to try to get the most out of his capabilities for what he's showcasing right now. Get the most out of that so whenever he kind of hits that valley, like we talked about on the last pod, I can get someone else in there. Right, and again, it's about maximizing how much we're putting on the field and putting the team, hear that, the team in a position to be successful.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird, but like that's hard for parents to understand too. But it's also like that's the trickiness of coaching is understanding like, hey, like this guy's really good, and like he's not going to suck for very long. Right? Maybe he does, and maybe you look like a dumbass. That's just part of the coaching.
You're taking a shot.
Right? You're taking a shot on him, exactly. But understanding it's like, again, like this guy's really good and he's not going to suffer very long versus someone that's a little bit more up and down, hot and cold, as we like to say.
Yeah, and I think for me, objective, like, because I've been around coaches that say, like, I really don't care what the kid does. At practice, I don't care what he does off the field. I don't care what he does in the classroom. Like, if the kid mashes baseballs and he's always going to be a great defender, he's going to play. You know what I mean? As long as he doesn't do something, like, utterly stupid, right?
I think, hold on, let me say this real quick. I think as you get older, that's where some people, you have to really understand yourself, right? Some players can go out to practice and kind of go through BP like they don't care and hit like shit and know they're going to play. Because, again, when the lights turn on, like, they can compete. But some guys that aren't as good, that aren't as, like, quote, talented, and I was a guy like that. Like, I had to make the most out of my practice time to prepare myself. Because I knew in my head, like, if I went out there, like, yeah, I was probably going to play. But, again, I'm not putting myself in a position to showcase in the game to where I'm consistently in the lineup. Yeah. Right? So that's where it's like, that's where for players you can't compare yourself like to Mike Trout. Yeah. Right? If you're not Mike Trout, well, you can't prepare like him. Right? You got to have a little bit more attentiveness, especially if you're kind of on that fence of playing and not playing.
And you got to give yourself an edge.
Yeah, and there's 1,000 major league guys who aren't Mike Trout.
No, yeah, and like objective side for me, and it's really easy to see, like, if you take the emotions out of it, right? But if you objectively look at it and say, okay, like, he's more athletic than me as well. Like, I think athleticism is objective, right? If we did some athletic tests, like, that kid would probably be better, you know? And in the coach's eyes too, like this is where it gets a little tough. But even if you're sitting there watching at practice, like, damn, that kid just don't miss. And maybe he sees you miss, right? Like I've done this before and I try not to, but there's kids on the team that I know that they just, bro, when we get in practice, they get beat. And I'm going to watch him get beat. And so the last thing in my head that I remember when I'm writing the lineup is, dude, that kid got dominated at practice. Like, he's not even close. Like, he's nowhere to be. But again, we just remember that stuff, right? I remember, and most coaches are this way, they remember the bad more than the good.
Yeah, what they say, one fuck up equals 1,000 bad boys.
Yeah. And so, like, I remember the bad stuff more than the good. So if you're a guy that consistently shows up and it's bad effort, bad attitude, it's lazy work in the field, right? Or you get in the game and it's just error, right? You drop a couple pop flies and nobody else has dropped a couple.
Or you don't make the effort to get to that
or you don't give me, you cheat yourself as an individual and you give your 50% effort. I remember that, right? And while that kid might not be perfect that's out there, I haven't seen that from him yet. I just remember you doing that. I remember you making that mistake, right? So that, again, that's not really objective. So like, let me get back on track to that. Again, the objective side of it is like, this is why a lot of kids will chase their numbers. And it's a hard thing. Like, you can't live that way, right? Like, you can't play the game that way. You have to, as an individual, just like get out of your own way and play your best baseball every day. Mentally, play your best baseball. Give everything you got. Pour your heart and soul, your energy and your effort into every single pitch of every single at-bat inside of the game. If you can do that, you'll look up and the objective numbers will take care of themselves.
Yeah, so hard work produces results, right? You can't deny that.
Yeah, and like, you're gonna have bad games. We talk about that all the time. You're gonna have mistakes. You're gonna mess up. But how are you messing up? You gotta hear it. And I even feel like we're kind of talking in circles, but like, you have to hear is, how are you making the mistakes? Is it because you are not locked in? Is it a play that should be made and you have a really bad first step? It's lazy getting there. You don't give everything you got. It's hesitant. It's passive. It's not prepared in that individual moment for that one play or that one pitch within that bat to do your job. Well, it's going to end up showing bad. And then now in the coach's head, like, you don't do the right things, right? And that starts to affect the numbers. That will start to affect the objective numbers if you do that consistently over time.
And for the parent or the player or the coach who's listening, I think, I mean, it sounds daunting, but what I'm hearing though is that there's some level of control, some level of effort that a player can do to improve that objective portion of what they're doing. Now, the next thing you mentioned was coachability.
Yeah.
So how what's the correlation there? And what are you looking for?
Let's keep it simple. I'll let you dive into it next. I laugh at this because I know a coach in the area loves bunting, right? Mm-hmm. And our players don't like to bunt. Okay? If you know that coach loves bunting and his bunting station and head coach Johnny is feeding you the machine or throwing balls at you and it's time to bunt and you miss 10 bunts in a row because your effort and your mindset is, I hate bunting, right? And you suck at it, I'm not playing you. You're sitting the fucking bench. Period. Right? That's coachability. And that goes a little bit into the strategy stuff, which we'll get down the road in this, but if the coach wants something out of you or asks you to do something, don't question it. It might not be right for you. But are you trying to play for him and be the guy today? Or do you want to get, I don't even know the word, but like, do you want to get resistant to that because it goes against what you think? So I'm just going to not do it and then bitch and moan I'm not playing. Well, he asked you to bunt and you couldn't bunt. He asked you to be the best bunter in the world and you can't even lay the ball down on command. Well, dude, if you did that, that's coachability, right? If the coach asks you to lay out for balls, even if it's egregious, like we ask our infielders, right? Give us a courtesy dive every time. Because if you're truly hunting that, you'll probably make some plays doing it. But if you can't courtesy dive on a ground ball through the infield, like, that's lack of coachability. You can't do what's fucking asked of you. If I ask you to do a one-way lead to first with the lefty on the mound and jab step with your left foot going back to first when he lifts his leg, and you don't jab step and you get picked, or the read and the timing is wrong, that's not coachable. And you're going to sit the fucking bench. Period. It's not hard. It's like, and that's where it sucks for a lot of coaches, because the parents don't hear that stuff happening at practice. They don't hear those conversations. They just see the kid doing whatever is going on and like, oh, he looks so good out there. Oh, look at him playing baseball. Like, look at him. And then he messes it up in our eyes, but the parents don't know that because the kids don't relay information ever, right? And then they're like, well, why is my kid not playing? Well, he can't do the shit right.
Yeah.
Like, we're just asking him.
And to tie in with that, this is a conversation I had with the 14s. And again, it kind of ties in back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, just in terms of like mentally flipping the script for them and understanding stuff, right? And I asked them this question. I said, why do you think we do X drill? Why do you think we do Y drill at practice? I was like, it's not for me or it's not for Garrett just to have something to do. I was like, all of this stuff that we give you, that we do as a team, is designed to prepare you for when it shows up in game. I know that's a cliche saying, but we double down on that, right? So when things happen in game, if you're a forward thinker, you start to be, oh, we practiced this on Tuesday. We practiced this last Friday, whatever it is, to where now I'm prepared. But if it's time and time again, I see you make plays in practice and then you don't do that during the game, that to me is a lack of coachability. Why? Because you're not paying attention. You're not attentive in practice. You turn it into recess rather than I'm there actively wanting to get better. And that's the stuff that like we take personal, because there's a lot of time and energy in any coach. There's a lot of time and energy and effort that goes into like, what are we going to do to prepare these guys? Because it would be easy just to roll out there, hit some ground balls, grab a fungo, hit some fly balls for an hour, and then send them home.
We had an hour and 45-minute meeting yesterday during the day to get ready for practice last night. Hour and 45 minutes. And dude, shit gets me fucking hot, man. Like when I go out to practice and we can't execute stuff and the effort is lazy, or it's going through the motions and it's I'm just out here because mom and dad are dropping me off because it's Tuesday field practice, that's why I get so hot. That's why you hear me and see me get fucking flamed at practice. Because at the end of the day, like I just spent 2 hours of my time recapping what we need to do and pouring everything I got into that time to get you better. And Sean's quote, I love this thing that he always says, you can't see me if you're listening to this, but the head shake yes, right? At practice, I'm on the same page, coach. And then when we get in the game, the eyes get wide and it's
the bodies don't move.
They don't do shit.
Right? And again, it's like we got to keep it in perspective to some degree.
Because they're 14.
Because they're 13 and 14, and they're trying to figure it out. They're actively working right now. A lot of them are like, they're hungry. They're actively wanting to know. But again, man, like it's still like when the effort's not there, and again, that's the piece that flames us, is you get out to practice and you bust ass and you make the plays. You make the plays, but then you get out in the game and it's passive. I don't play aggressive, and now it's like, ooh, okay, like now I secure myself from making the plays. And then at that point, it has nothing to do with physical.
Yeah. And so for perspective and context, do you see less of that as you move up, like 14 to 16 to 18 to whatever, or how does that work? Where does the growth come?
I was just thinking that in my head is like we were saying, is like, bro, I'm always chasing perfection. You know what I mean? So like chasing perfection is never going to be there. You're never going to be perfect. So it's an unattainable goal. So you're always going to be getting pushed. We're going to be finding other things that you're not good at, and I'm going to be pushing you. So maybe never, I think it gets better as you get older, because I think they start to, like, certain guys will become better and they will solidify themselves as the best guy on the team, and that guy will play in that position all the time.
Not only that, but like the game, as you get older, the game, just like we're seeing right now, as you get older, the game requires more. Right? It requires more out of your ability, but it requires more of you mentally and being locked in. Right? So it's like, again, if you say you want to play college baseball right now, and then you get to 16, 17, and you still have that aspiration, well, it's going to take more of your mental engagement and ability, or the game's just going to weed you out. It's what it is. The game will take care of itself in terms of getting you out if you don't find a way to continue to get better and mentally engaged.
And let me, I don't want people to hear this and be like, guys, this is just baseball or whatever. Because there's life lessons here, and I'll tell you just from experience. Like if you're going to take the LSAT, or you're going to take the GMAT, the GRE, or one of these tests to get into grad school or professional school, those tests get incrementally harder. Every question you answer gets harder, until you miss one, then it reverts, then it gets harder. Every one of those programs is designed to weed out the weak, right? Every one of those. So it's not like, so yes, it's hard. Like it may sound harsh, or some folks may be getting a little taken aback, but it really is.
It's a game of life.
It's a real life.
Well, look at
everywhere.
Look at academics, right? Do you think when you get to your junior year of college and you're on the tail end of your degree, you're learning what 2 + 2 is? No, right? It's like as you get to high school and you get into college, and then you get done with your base level classes into whatever your degree plan is, like shit starts to get harder as you go. It's just like you said, it applies to everything. If you want to be higher and achieve more, like it's going to take more and more along the way. It's just what it is.
In the further along you get, it's less about application, right? Because the application should be there at some level, and it's more about the theoretical, why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And so like some of these big league guys, in college guys, a lot of these coaches, you talk to them and they can black out on like just and you guys do it, the science behind it, all the stuff that's behind doing it, right? So it's not just through the ball, it's not just fielding the ball. I mean, but once you learn to do that, you can learn why you do it, and you can actually start to do it better.
Well, I think that comes down to the next point is baseball IQ. Right, like just like you said, is like the application, the theoretical, the minute pieces that you have to be able to understand about your position, about the game, about the whole aspect of everything, the strategy, all of it. It all comes down to that, right? So and we get frustrated because like who's teaching these kids? We said this before on a past podcast, but Coach Hallmark freaked out one time. It's like, how are you not backing up on a throw and getting to somewhere, and you're the right fielder, and you're not backing up, and the ball gets by? I'm like, dude, you learn that shit in Little League. It's like there's an epidemic right now of people teaching good baseball, right? Like actually what it takes to be a good baseball player. We've got guys that's like, we talk this, like, I'm so sick and tired. If you're a kid listening, please hear me. If it's a 3-2 count and 2 outs, right?
I should have to tell you you're stealing.
I should have to tell you you're moving on the pitch if there's not a bag open behind you, right? Like if it's first and second, it's guy on first, his base is loaded. The moment the pitcher starts his delivery, you are full speed taking off. I still see hesitation there. Guys not even running. It's like, dude, I knew that when I was 7 years old.
Well, ball again. Because again, you don't go, your jump sucks, ball gets through the 6 hole, you're on second base. More than ever, you're 100% turn going home. You get thrown out at the plate, and then now it's like, oh, well, he got a bad jump. You should never get a bad jump on that. Yeah. Right? Then mom and dad want to coddle you and say, oh, it's okay.
It was coach.
It's okay.
It was coach's fault they sent you. No.
I love you, Bubba.
But baseball IQ, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to understand the game on a very intricate level, right? And this is where I wish we could go back 10, 15 years to where when we went to these tournaments at this age, bro, my ass was out playing wiffle ball with the team until 11 o'clock at night. We didn't go fuck around in the pool. We maybe a little bit, right? But we didn't go sit in a room and play video games. We didn't sit in our phone in the lobby and Snapchat people and talk about whatever. We did not have anything out there other than the bat and the wiffle ball playing sandlot baseball. That's how you learn to play the game. That's how you look to find outs. That's how you look and read situations and make shit happen on the fly. You play positions that you don't generally play on the baseball field. Oh, now that makes sense, right? And so I think, like, at the end of the day, like, the next is guys don't watch baseball games a ton. I think baseball's starting to make a little bit of a comeback, and people are starting to watch more, and kids are wanting more and more information, right? But dude, watch the game. I told the kid and his dad this weekend on Monday, we were at a lesson. I said, hey, man, like if he wants to play on the middle infield, I was like, I think he should. I think he's got the feet and the athleticism and the arm to play in the middle infield consistently. It's like he has no clue what he's doing. He has zero understanding of the position. I was like, my encouragement to you is like, there's a lot of spring training games going on. Sit there and key in on that position the entire game. Don't watch the game as a fan. Don't watch the game as just watching baseball. Oh, they hit a home run. No, watch the position player that you play. If that's the position you want to play and you want to be there, watch what they do. Every single move. How they move side to side. When they attack the ball, when they sit. How they turn the double play, how they get in position for cuts and relays, where they're moving on certain situations, on a bunt, on a ball hit here, on a ball hit there. If you don't know that stuff, like, it's going to hold you back.
Awesome. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left. I think that's a lot to digest, but the last thing I want to touch on is, we're almost a quarter of the way through the season, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys looking like? What are you guys as coaches? Let's not even think about the teams, but as coaches, what are you looking to gather from this NIT that we're going to, and how's that going to set you up for the rest of the season?
I think the biggest thing is just guys building off of the growth that they made this weekend, just in terms of like I said, the attentiveness to play. I'm at this point, I'm a firm believer. It's like with them, the wins will come. Right, the wins will come if they keep chasing that each and every day. To continue to get better each and every time they go out there, right? And again, it's like I told them, we're going to do our job as coaches to put them in a situation to be successful in terms of guys on the mound, guys in positions. But now it's up to them, wherever they're asked to hit, wherever they're asked to play, to be able to give us their best and be attentive in that given moment.
Yep, my piece is we just got to keep pushing forward with the same philosophies and seeing the growth within it, right? I just want to see growth, and I want to see guys making strides on the things that we are speaking on, right? We're getting more competent. We're seeing a little bit more aggressive baseball. We're seeing better understanding, better communication, more savviness. Man, I want players to play with fire and passion. I want them to play with flair. Give me the bat flips. Give me the pimped, like, yeah, sit down, boy, I just threw your ass out, right? Yeah, sit down, boy, I just struck you out. Like, I want to see that. I want an attitude. I want to see the attitude start to come out, right? Because, man, it's a fist fight. You get out there, it's a fist fight. When you get done with the game, like, don't say nothing. You know what I mean? Like, win with your head up, lose with your head up. Like, don't say no word. Dap them up and move on, right? I'm not going to say nothing. We're going to play the game. But, like, in the midst of it, it's a fist fight. And I want you to play like that. Don't be scared. You walk up